Hello, and welcome back to another episode of 14 Keys of Thinking Like a Pro. And once again, I am super excited to have my good friend Clellan Hyatt here, who is a professional drummer. He's played, y'all might have seen him with Emily Wolfe. He's played with Otis the Destroyer. He has several businesses and companies he's affiliated with. And I'm just so happy to dive in and hear your story of how you went from your situation to now a professional musician. First of all, Clellan, welcome to the show. Tell everybody hello.
Hello. Thanks for having me, Kris.
No problem.
Always
man.
A pleasure being here, man.
For sure. So let's just go back. I mean, let's just start with it. Like, we've known each other for quite some time. I don't know how many years that's been, but maybe at least 10 years or close to it. A hot minute, right? And we've played together several shows, and I've seen you on stage with several different artists. But I want to go back to when I started talking to you. When I first met you, you wasn't a full-time musician yet. You was were you working as a school teacher at the time?
I was a math teacher at a middle school.
At the middle school, interesting. So let's just start around that time. Like, how did you go from teaching to one day just getting out there and doing music? Were you just learning music, or did you already know how to play music before you jumped into this?
So right out of college, I started playing drums semi-professionally with some different country acts, Texas country acts.
Okay.
And to supplement that income, I did everything from construction to trying to find a job right after the 2008 market crash.
Okay.
Which was super hard. So I was playing music, trying to find a stable job. In order to find a stable job, I was like, what's stable? And I was like, I could teach. I have a college degree. And so I loved math, and I just fell into teaching and did that for 5 years. And I met these guys who were coming up as 8th graders, and they were the Peterson brothers.
Oh, the Peterson brothers. Shout out to the Peterson brothers, another
Shout out. Love those guys.
Very recognizable Austin band.
Yeah, so I was playing, and we did like a talent show, and I did like a drum solo.
Yeah.
And Glenn Peterson came up. He's like, "Hey, would you want to play in my band?" I was like, "Play in your band? Where are you playing, man?" He's like,
Right.
"Well, we have a show at Antone's next Monday." And I was like, "You're playing at Antone's next Monday?" Yeah, okay, I'll check this out.
Right.
And so it led to me playing with them for, a couple years.
Was that your first gig, actually? Or
I mean,
I know it was with them playing. Maybe I jumped too far. Maybe I need to go back a little bit further, because it seemed like you was already knew how to play drums.
I mean, it's been playing drums since college, seriously. And I knew that I wanted to play professionally right out of college. So I just wanted to get a degree, get a job doing something, and figure it out.
What were you doing in college? What was your degree in college?
Business.
Business. Okay, so you didn't go to college for music at all?
Not at all. Never really was a schooled
You wasn't
musician.
in the band?
Never played in a band, just always sports, football, and, did collegiate track. So.
Okay. And you was a football stud too, right?
In high school, 5'10", white guy trying to play football, didn't go too far.
The first Johnny Manziel, guys, I'm telling you right here. So music, it really wasn't your thing going into college. You went to college for business, but you did have in the back of the mind that, man, you wanted to get into music somehow, some way.
It wasn't until I hurt my elbow throwing the javelin. That's what I did. Got a scholarship, A&M Corpus, and go Islanders. And hurt my elbow. Instead of getting Tommy John surgery, I got back into drums.
Okay.
And didn't throw my last year in college, and instead just really immersed myself in learning how to play the drums and watching all my favorite drummers, and really trying to become a professional drummer just from practice.
Just studying and watching. Who were some of the guys that you like to watch?
Oh man, we would watch Red Hot Chili Peppers DVDs, 311, Primus, Tool, and just really anything. I love listening and watching all styles of music and just learning. I figured if I can learn how to play anything, then that made myself, easier to get gigs.
Yeah, for sure.
Not just focus on one genre.
Do you think that helped kind of pay off now, just kind of looking back, kind of studying your craft? I don't know. I mean, whether it was intentional or not, is it beneficial now that you kind of did start learning your craft back in college?
Yeah. And right after college, I did take a little bit, I guess, I had lessons first, 3 lessons when I was 13. And then I got a couple lessons right out of college. A guy that had drummed with the Dixie Chicks for a while.
Nice.
And then I ended up taking his gig with this Texas Country Act. And
look at you.
Whoops. But he was a sweet guy, and took a couple lessons with him and just kind of realized that I needed to learn on the job, as they say.
Yeah, that's interesting. So, because I was talking to some other friends, and they say like, me, I like practicing behind the scenes, kind of shedding. And I've talked to a couple other friends. It was like, I wasn't that guy that sat there and shed for 12 hours before the gig. I kind of had a lot of on stage learning experiences, just got thrown in the fire. So it's kind of similar to you. It was like, hey, I'm just sitting in the, I guess, backdrop or wherever you were at the time, and the Peterson brothers say, hey, I have a gig in a few days, and that's kind of like being thrown in the fire. So would you say you starting out, that's how you kind of got your feet wet, by just being thrown in the fire rather than shedding and preparing?
Yeah, I guess I didn't play a lot of shows in college, played maybe, under 10. And it wasn't until after college, when I graduated, that I kind of fell into the Texas country world, and I started playing with some older people. Okay. And there was a bassist named Danny, who now plays with the Austin band Suede, which is one of the best cover bands in Austin.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
He said that you need to start playing with the click track. And it wasn't until playing with him and focusing and learning how to play with the click that it really made me grow up, and I say become a quote unquote real drummer, and someone that, can play to a click, know that you are playing to that tempo, and it helps me in the studio and live, because I really play live with a click every time now.
You still play live with the click in your ear?
I do. Yeah. Every show, every band that I play with, I'll map out the set list and play with the click, and at least we know that one thing can be consistent. Right.
At least the click is going to be
yeah.
Right. So was that a transition playing with the click? Did you, was your timing not spot on as you might have thought it was in your head?
Oh, for sure. Definitely.
Like, damn, I missed that one again.
The click doesn't lie.
Yeah.
And
that was a big transition for me when I started doing more studio stuff. Over time, it becomes just an internal clock. You hear that click in your head without it, but at first you're like, dang, I'm getting off of like these little fills and everything aren't as clean, as tight as I thought they were.
If you don't find the one,
yeah,
it can get nasty.
Yep. If it's not reggae, for sure.
It's not, no.
All right, so let's transition. So you play with the Peterson brothers. How did that gig go?
It went great. It went great. Of course, during that time, they were super young, and everything was kind of run by, their parents. And me being an adult, I think I just kind of wanted to transition to playing with people my age at the time. So that led me to leaving that gig and taking some other gigs, and jumped into the rock world. And
were you still substituting, or were you substituting at this time? Were you in the teaching?
Yeah. So I taught for 5 years total.
Okay. So you was kind of teaching and playing. So between your 5 years, when did you kind of start playing with other bands, or is it the whole time?
It was the whole time, but it wasn't until the last year that my touring schedule started to get a little more demanding. And as you know, as a school teacher, you have to be there
Right.
You only get a certain number of days of
Can't take
you can take
2
off.
months off,
Yeah.
right? 3 months.
And that last year, it was really hard when we had a big spring tour, and that was with the band Boohoo.
Okay, yeah.
And started touring with those guys across the U.S. and realized that I needed to find something that I could do that worked with the traveling musician schedule.
Mm-hmm. So even just going back a little bit before that, because I know we played together with Ty.
Yep.
I'm not sure you was still teaching then. Maybe you was that's when the transition was. Because I know when we was playing with Ty, the schedule was it might not have been a full touring schedule. Mm-hmm. I think we were just getting off tour, but the schedule was enough to where it was a little bit of demand.
Oh, yeah.
And if you add anything to that, for sure, probably might have got a little crazy.
Definitely.
Playing with more artists. So how did you, I mean, obviously a schedule is put in front of your face. You kind of make that decision. But how was making that decision where, I mean, you kind of had to step out and say, okay, I have a teacher income, which is kind of dependable. I know what I'm going to get, what to expect, and I can go out here and try to do something that I want to do. I love play the drums and tour and travel the world and experience. So how did that mindset for you go jumping and actually making the decision to do that? Was it a scary thing or?
It was scary because you have fixed expenses
Mm-hmm.
and you know that you need to cover those.
Yeah.
And going from that to having a variable income was definitely scary, but it forces you to become a better human. And, if you're not jumping out and scaring yourself, then you're not growing and you're not living to your fullest potential.
So anybody that's out there kind of listening, do you say that it's to some degree risk is involved to
Risk
get into that,
is very much involved
to the next level?
And it's really, if you're not scaring yourself at least a little bit daily, then you're probably not pushing yourself as far as you should be.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even with that risk, though, we can just dive a little deeper. You took the risk, but you took it was somewhat of a still calculated risk, though, right? Because your teaching job, I mean, it was an income, and music was bringing an income for you touring, but you had a calculated risk by picking up another job, right? Or working with so what did you do calculated after you decided, you know what, this teaching job, the money's fine, but it's keeping me tied down to being here in this area, this zip code.
Yep.
How did you do that next?
I was a client with a financial firm called E3 Wealth.
E3 Wealth.
And had a really good relationship with them. Had been there for a couple years. And
so what is E3 Wealth for the people that don't know?
So E3 Wealth is a financial firm that offers private wealth management for individuals, business owners, and families. Okay. So kind of comprehensive financial planning.
So you was working with them, a client with them, or?
I was a client with them starting off.
Okay.
And then I had a really good relationship with my advisor and realized that there was an opportunity to possibly help my industry and help artists and musicians, because I realized that as an artist, you're not having your door, knocked on by many financial advisors wanting to help. If you're a doctor, you're a lawyer, you're getting
the first call,
calls all the time. But I noticed there weren't a lot of financial advisors out there, specifically just in this area, reaching out and helping the artists, the musician community. So I felt like this is something that I could do. And so I spent about a year getting all my licenses, Series 7, 63, 65, insurance licenses, and really just immersing myself in that industry and trying to network and just build my clientele. And here we are 6 years later.
Yeah.
And it's been great.
So you did all of this with this company, E3 Wealth, and you were still playing at the time. This company allowed you to get on the road and be a musician as well, though, right?
Definitely.
Mobile.
Yeah. So I am an independent private wealth advisor. So I'm not tied to going into an office every day. even before the pandemic, I had been working on a remote business advising model.
Sure.
So really doing a lot of Zoom meetings with clients, phone calls,
Yeah.
and trying to adopt that business model for some time now.
Okay. So it's just interesting for you guys listening once again that it's very calculated what you do. It might seem like you're taking a risk, but as you can see, like the drummer, he started with a degree, guys. He has a degree. So that's one thing. That's a backup plan. But even though the degree, I guess you're still using business, which helps you today, but
Yeah.
you still didn't just jump with the regular, I'm just going to stick with whatever comes my way. You still had in mind, I want to do music, so I have to figure out how to adjust, how to use my resources to make it happen. And it's kind of cool that you figured out a way to use your college degree, your resources with the company that you work for, to now work with them and still be able to, I wouldn't say really manipulate the system, but you found a way in the system to, now you're on tour with, was it Boohoo you said first? And then...
Yeah, Boohoo. And
so how long did that last?
played with them for about 2 to 3 years.
Okay.
And that led to playing with Otis the Destroyer.
Otis the Destroyer next.
And
you
then-
guys are still playing?
Yeah, still playing.
Okay.
Still
Very
playing
nice.
with them, and played with another band called Tahoma for a while, and then got a call from Emily Wolfe.
Well, so let's talk about that. That's pretty cool because I know I've seen you guys like travel all over, New York, LA, Seattle. I mean, like, so how did you get hooked up with Emily Wolfe?
So her drummer, basically a drummer, got fired and / quit, whatever it was.
Shout out to the drummer.
Yeah. All because, this is good, because he didn't want to use a specific kick beater. He wanted to use a wooden beater, and she wanted, basically, you got to do what the artist wants you to do as a drummer. You can't be so self-absorbed that you want to have this specific sound. It's all about blending and being a chameleon from gig to gig. And at the end of the day, you serve the song, you serve that artist, and you got to play what they want to play. So the guy didn't do it. They had a tour with Black Pistol Fire, little regional tour playing in Oklahoma, Dallas. And I stepped in with 3 days before the tour, learned the songs, and still here.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how was that? I mean, that was a good point. That you have to be a chameleon and you're there to represent the artist, because I've seen a lot of musicians that are talented, but they don't get the job because of that reason right there. They won't change a freaking beater on their drum or something, something really simple that the artist requests.
Yeah.
So how was preparing for playing with Emily Wolfe in 3 days?
I did my own bootleg charts and really just basically got the tempo of each song. And
you still put your click arrangements and everything for
yeah, and just made my own. I'm like I said, I'm not a schooled musician, so I don't know how to necessarily read music, but I know how to, I guess, chart out how the beat looks in my head.
Yeah.
And I would just have that next to me during those shows, and that was it, really.
Sure.
Yeah.
So you must have rocked that pretty good, because now you've been with her for how many years now?
It's been about 4, I'd say.
Yeah.
Been about 4.
And y'all went to the studio and recorded. Did y'all record an album together as well? Were you on her album?
A long process, but we finally ended up recording at Arlen Studios with Ben Tanner, the keyboardist for Alabama Shakes.
Yeah, shout out to Arlen Studios. I mean, those guys do incredible work. Arlen, you said the Alabama
Yeah.
Shakes,
so
and
Ben Tanner was the producer, and he
Ben
works with the Shakes. And we actually went over to Muscle Shoals to attempt to record.
Did y'all go to Fame Studios?
It was the old, not Fame, but the one by the river.
Okay.
I guess it used to be like a second incarnation of the old studio.
Yeah.
But
that's still a pretty cool experience.
Yeah.
So how is working live different than studio? Or is there any difference?
I think there's a big difference because each song, you can have a different snare, different cymbals, different drum set entirely, or maybe a blend of toms, and it's.
Yeah.
I think every hit is calculated, and while you still want to have a free flowing live sort of vibe, you really have to think about the chemical makeup of each song and what you're trying to produce and what you're trying to get to come out of those speakers.
Right.
Yeah.
And does that take time, or just does that take a relationship with the artist and kind of knowing what they want once again?
I think it's a blend of, working with the artist, the producer, whatever they're thinking, and, kind of bringing in your own personal ideas and just seeing what happens.
Yeah, so very cool. So just moving on to, all right, so you played with Emily Wolfe. You guys are toured. You've been on a couple tours with Boohoo and, played several gigs with Otis Destroyer to now you're endorsed with a few drum products now, right? You have a cymbal company. Was it Dream Cymbals?
Yeah, Dream Cymbal. The first endorsement was with Q Drum Company out of Los Angeles.
So Q Drum. So take me through that whole process of how did that all come apart?
Went to NAMM. So Emily is a Gibson artist.
I like how you just casually said went to NAMM.
Yeah.
People try to go to NAMM like, I just went to NAMM.
I was always wanting to go, and I never really had the opportunity. And then through her endorsement with Gibson, Emily,
okay.
Yeah. So we were flown out there by Gibson.
Nice.
And they basically paid for all of our entrance stuff, and we did a couple performances. We did the Legends and New Icons performance.
For you guys that don't know, NAMM is a huge music convention, I guess you could say, that goes on every year. I think they do it twice a year. There's a small summer one in Nashville, but the big one is every year, usually the first quarter, and it's held in Anaheim, California. And it's NAMM, N-A-A-M. You can look it up. I forget exactly what it stands for. National
American Music Merchants.
Yeah, so basically it's all the instruments that you see when you go to the Guitar Center, when you look on Sweetwater, all these the head manufacturers for guitar, for keyboards, for speakers, DJ, anything that's equipment in the music industry, basically. There's some type of representative there. And it's just thousands and thousands of booths that fill up the convention center downtown. And it's a private event. You can't pay to get in. It's an invite only. So it's a very high prestigious event where you get high class musicians such as Clellan and myself. But, other guys such as, I don't know, Stevie Wonder was the coolest person I got to actually walk down the hallway with. And it's you can't get in. So for him to just casually say, we went to NAMM, they flyed us out, it's a big deal. I just wanted to throw that in there. It's a big deal. I've been blessed to go to NAMM. And but I'm sorry to steal that little story right there, but I just want people to understand what NAMM was and how you got hooked up with NAMM to go out there with Emily.
Yeah, so just doing the performance and walking the floor, and at the time I was playing DW drums, not endorsed with them, and was looking for a drum company to kind of grow with and start a relationship with. And Q, they've been around for a while. It was started by the guys who built Orange County Percussion. So drummer Travis Barker, drummer for No Doubt. So they would build their drums, and then they broke off, started their own company.
Okay.
He is a drum tech for Muse, Nine Inch Nails, and so he started building. I guess the first drummer they had was the drummer for Katy Perry.
Oh, nice.
And they built.
This is with Q?
This is with Q.
Okay.
Yeah, and they built an extra drum set for him on tour with Katy, and he ended up loving that kit and pretty much forced them to start their own company. And it's been great.
And so y'all built a relationship at NAMM with, I guess, the manufacturers. and they asked you to be along and endorsed you as an artist with their company.
Yeah, I actually just went down and met the artist relations guy, and he was super cool, Roger Coe, and
so they do the whole full kit. Right?
Yeah, he actually allowed me to pick a snare drum out, and I used that for one of the Gibson performances. And he came up there, checked it out. I came back, got to meet the drummer for Nine Inch Nails, who is actually co-owner of the company as well, Lon Rubin. And
this was all at NAMM.
Yeah, all at NAMM. Shortly thereafter, I ended up getting one of their sets, Maple Kit, chrome over maple.
Nice.
And it's
NAMM comes with so many benefits.
Yeah.
Yes. So take me along. So that was your first, I guess, artist endorsement deal.
Yep.
With them. So did you get another one at the same time, or sooner, later?
Later, it came through Vader drumsticks.
Vader drumsticks. Okay.
Yeah.
Was that through NAMM again, or?
The relationship was somewhat. It started at NAMM and then just kind of kept up, and once the career built up a little bit, tours built up, and ended up bringing me on as an artist, and then came Dream Symbols, and just still working on
just growing as an artist and as a brand. That's very nice, man. So tell me a little bit more, because I like that you have kind of always had that business mindset stepping into the music industry, which I think is very important, because there is a facade that is only music. I gotta do music, and that's fabulous. But sometimes to get to along your journey, you have to be creative and branch out to other things. So even now that you've been on tour, you have a degree. This guy is smart. You have artist endorsement deals. You have a great brand. You also started another brand and increased your brand and elevated to the Money Drummer. Let's talk a little bit about the Money Drummer. What's the Money Drummer?
So the Money Drummer is a new branding idea, and just kind of blending the two worlds that I work in, music and finance. And it kind of came about with my other business that I started a couple years ago with music business management, and kind of co-founded that with Lane Lauritzen, music CPA here in town.
What's the name of that company?
So that is Lauritzen and Hyatt Business Management.
Okay.
And we work with national and global musical artists that are making a decent living and need their business looked after in the financial world.
When he says a decent living, don't be coming in here with no pocket change work with it. No, but yeah, so definitely. So how long have you been doing that, or started that?
It's been a little under 2 years at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. That's been a lot of fun transitioning and working with that as well.
It's been great.
Yeah.
It's been great. It kind of blends, the worlds that I've already maybe known a couple of these artists, and it really has opened my eyes to the whole other side of the music business world, because I work with the booking agents, the artist managers.
Is that a key thing? I mean, because you're kind of like behind the scenes a little bit, do you think that's a key thing a lot of artists are missing? Is that business side, that back page?
I think understanding your business and all aspects of your business is only beneficial to you in the end. Because if you understand how all the pieces are coming together,
right,
and how you can potentially maybe work with this piece, or plug in this or this company, or maybe work with this booking agent over this booking agent.
Yeah.
I think it only helps you, and understand how the revenue streams are coming in, and why you're making this percentage, and
sure,
maybe how you can increase those revenue streams.
Got you.
Yeah.
Very nice. A lot of good information, and it's a lot of good stuff. Definitely check out these. Tell them about your companies one more time, where they can find you if they want to reach out.
So E3 Wealth Loritzen and Hyatt Business Management. Play with Emily Wolfe, Otis the Destroyer. And, you can find me on Instagram, Facebook, Clellan Hyatt.
Very nice. And before we get out of here, I got to ask this question. Where did you get this love for cats at? Because if you go on a social media, just scroll through and you're going to see him dressed up in a cat costume. He has cats. I mean, where does this cat love come from?
Well, you know what? It's funny you asked that because I feel like I was maybe a cat in a past life.
Maybe so.
I feel like this real connection to the feline community. And not every cat. I don't like every cat.
Not every cat?
But certain cats that are cool.
Right.
And growing up, I had what you would call maybe a cat farm.
No.
Like maybe 15, 20 cats out there on our deck at a time.
We need to call and get you some help.
I only have one cat right now, so
Okay.
we've lessened the whole crazy cat guy.
Well, we found you some help. Well, what's the name of your cat now?
Nefertiti. We shorten that and just call her Neff.
Neff. Well,
Yeah.
shout out to Neff.
Yeah.
And shout out to Clellan once again, man. Thank you for coming on the KeyZ Method and sharing your story with everybody. And I hope you guys got something out of this series, out of this podcast. And once again, guys, be sure to go check out Clellan. Be sure to go find him if when they get back on the road, when this virus thing is over. Emily Wolfe, Otis the Destroyer. They're playing all the time. And guys, be creative. I'm Kris KeyZ, your host. This is 14 Keys to Thinking Like a Pro. Peace.